We are dissecting a recent Motley Fool article that really digs into whether XRP could be a millionaire maker for investors. And it's timely too, because it dropped the same day as a big deadline in Ripple's legal fight with the SEC.
Interesting. So we've got this back and forth between the short-term market moves and then also these long-term questions about the value of XRP. Last week, Bitcoin and most other cryptocurrencies dipped, likely due to that hotter than expected jobs report.
I was reading about that. Good news for the economy is often bad news for crypto, right?
It can be. So a strong economy could mean fewer interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. And when interest rates go up, investors tend to shift away from riskier assets,
Right.
like crypto, into things that are seen as more stable. It all has to do with their appetite for risk. When the economy looks good, their appetite for risk goes down.
Makes sense. So that makes sense for most cryptos. But XRP actually gained last week, going against the trend.
Right.
This Motley Fool article suggests it's because everyone's waiting to see what happens with the SEC lawsuit.
Well, the SEC sued Ripple back in 2020,
Right.
claiming that they were selling XRP as an unregistered security, which is a big no.
Right.
This past August, a court ruled mostly in Ripple's favor,
Right.
but fined them $125 million. The SEC wanted $2 billion, so it was a big win for Ripple.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
But SEC is appealing, right? And today was the deadline to present their evidence?
That's right.
It seems like there's a lot of speculation that they might drop the appeal, though.
There is, yeah, and change in leadership at the SEC is a big factor.
Okay.
So the outgoing chair, Gary Gensler, has been really tough on crypto, but the new incoming chair, Pale Atkins, was appointed by President Trump and is seen as more crypto-friendly.
Right.
So investors are optimistic, hoping that might mean the SEC backs off.
So that optimism is probably why we're seeing XRP's price go up.
Yeah.
But this article isn't all sunshine and roses.
Right.
They also raise some serious concerns about XRP's long-term value, even if it wins the lawsuit.
And this is where we have to get into what XRP is actually trying to do.
Okay.
And its current price is realistic.
Okay.
XRP is trying to make international bank transfers faster and cheaper.
Okay.
And point to the fact that legacy systems cost banks $193 billion in fees last year in 2023.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about all that money just disappearing because of fees.
I know.
So if XRP replaces all that, it's a game changer.
Right. Well, that's the idea.
Okay.
But he argues that XRP transactions are inherently extremely cheap.
Okay.
Like orders of cheaper than traditional methods.
Wow.
So even if XRP takes over the entire market for international bank transfers, it wouldn't generate anywhere near that $193 billion.
So what you're saying is that the potential revenue from XRP transactions might not actually be as high as everyone thinks?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads to the question of whether XRP's current market cap, it's at $150 billion right now, is actually justified.
Yeah,
It seems pretty if you look at the potential revenue stream.
that makes sense. It seems like there might be a disconnect between the hype and the reality of how much money XRP could actually make.
It does raise some important questions about how we evaluate these new technologies in the financial space.
Yeah.
Are we so about disruption that we're not looking closely enough at the financial fundamentals?
So maybe XRP isn't the guaranteed millionaire maker that some people believe it to be. But what if we play devil's advocate?
Okay.
Let's say XRP to grow significantly, defies all the skeptics,
Okay.
and someone invests today.
Right.
What would it take for that to become $1 million in, say, 30 years?
Well, first, adjust for inflation.
Okay.
That $1 million 30 years from now would have the buying power of about $300,000 today. So for that $10,000 to become a true million in today's terms, it would have to grow to $3.3 million.
Okay.
Which is a 33,000 return.
Wow, that's ambitious.
It is. We're talking an average annual growth rate of 21.3% for 30 years straight.
Okay.
To give you some context, stock market's historical average return is only about half that.
So you're saying it's highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But what would that kind of growth even look like for XRP's market cap?
Get this. By 2065, XRP would have a market cap of $48 trillion.
48 trillion.
With a T.
I don't even know what to do with that number. It's hard to even graph.
It's mind-boggling. It would be like the entire banking industry getting swallowed whole by XRP.
Yeah.
To put it in perspective, the $48 trillion is equal to the combined market caps of the world's 10 biggest banks today, assuming they grow at a healthy 10% per year for the next few decades.
So the Motley Fool article seems pretty skeptical about the idea of XRP being a millionaire maker, at least at its current valuation.
Yes. In fact, they go so far as to say that at its current price, XRP isn't a good investment at all. Wow.
They even suggest that Bitcoin, with all its volatility, is a safer bet.
So there's definitely a lot to think about here. What really jumps out at you from this article so far? What are your initial thoughts about the future of XRP?
What I find most striking is this tension between the current market excitement, which is largely driven by speculation around the SEC lawsuit,
Right.
and this much bigger question about XRP's actual value in the long run.
Yeah,
It's a classic example of how sentiment and fundamental analysis can be worlds apart.
that's a great point. So even though the article is skeptical about XRP's current valuation, it doesn't completely write off its potential to change the banking industry, right?
Right.
Right. It seems like there's a between the technology itself and the price tag it's carrying right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The article does highlight how inefficient the old banking systems are. I mean, $193 billion in fees in this.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem that needs solving. Yeah, it is. And XRP promises to do that with faster, cheaper cross-border payments. Even if the fees are way lower than what banks currently pay, wouldn't those efficiency gains be a big deal for the institutions that adopt it?
Absolutely. Think about the competitive advantage for a bank that can offer its customers significantly faster and cheaper international transfers. That could attract new business and really shake things up in the financial world.
It would be like a ripple effect throughout the whole system.
I see what you did there. But seriously, if XRP gains traction, those traditional banks will have to adapt or risk getting left behind.
It's like the age-old story. Disrupt or be disrupted.
Yeah.
So we've got this potentially revolutionary technology, a high-stakes legal battle, and a market that's changing by the day. It's almost overwhelming to keep up with.
It is a lot to take in, but that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're not trying to give you easy answers, but rather give you the tools to think critically about all this information.
Right. It's about empowering you to do your own research and form your own opinions. You shouldn't just take our word for it or the Motley Fool's.
It's exactly. Explore different perspectives, look into the data, and most importantly, think about the potential risks and rewards before making any decisions, especially in a market as unpredictable as crypto.
Speaking of which, let's go back to that deadline in the SEC case. Do you think the new leadership at the SEC will actually influence how the appeal plays out?
That's hard to say for sure. While the incoming chair, Pale Atkins, is seen as more crypto-friendly than his predecessor, we have to remember that the SEC is an independent agency.
They're not supposed to be influenced by politics, right?
Right. Their main job is to protect investors and keep the markets fair and orderly. So even if Atkins' personal views on crypto are favorable to Ripple, there's no guarantee that the SEC will back down.
So even if the technology itself is revolutionary, there's still a lot of uncertainty.
Absolutely. That uncertainty is something any potential investor needs to consider. The legal challenges could mean a bumpy ride for XRP in the short term.
Okay, so we've got a lot of moving, groundbreaking technology, legal battles, and a market that seems to change by the minute. Where do we even go from here?
That's what makes this whole deep dive so intriguing. It's not about providing black and white answers, but rather equipping you with the knowledge to navigate all of this complexity.
And to hopefully avoid getting caught up in the hype and making impulsive decisions.
Precisely. Knowledge is power, particularly when it comes to investing.
Well, speaking of knowledge, we've covered a lot of ground, but let's circle back to that initial question. Could XRP really turn someone into a millionaire?
Ah, the dream of striking it rich. It's a tempting thought, for sure.
It is, but we've seen that the path to becoming a millionaire is rarely straightforward, especially with crypto.
And the Motley Fool article argues that the math just doesn't support that dream with XRP, at least not at its current price and how they're doing things right now.
To get those millionaire-making returns, the growth would have to be astronomical even over a long period.
Right, and while anything is possible in the markets, it's important to be realistic.
So do you think that XRP millionaire dream is just a fantasy? Or is there some hope for the believers?
I'm always hesitant to make predictions, especially in a market as volatile as crypto. I think it's safe to say that betting everything on XRP making you a millionaire is probably not the best strategy.
It's important to spread your investments around managed risk and put your money into things you understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't chase quick riches. Focus on building a solid foundation of knowledge and making smart decisions based on your own personal goals.
Great advice.
Yeah.
But just for fun, let's entertain the for a second. What if XRP manages to win the lawsuit, gets adopted widely by banks, and starts being used for more than just international payments?
Now that opens up some interesting possibilities. Imagine if XRP becomes the backbone of a whole new financial system. Micropayments, decentralized finance, smart contracts, even managing supply chains, all powered by XRP.
It would be like the internet, but for money.
Exactly. If that were to happen, maybe the Millionaire Maker potential wouldn't seem so far-fetched after all.
That's a really interesting scenario. It makes you wonder if the Motley Fool article is maybe too focused on the present and not looking far enough into the future.
It's possible they're overlooking the fact that with emerging technologies, the true potential often lies in the unknown. It's those undiscovered applications that could revolutionize industries.
So you're saying that while becoming an XRP millionaire might be a long shot, it's not totally impossible.
Exactly. But it would require a lot of things to go right. Winning the lawsuit, widespread adoption by financial institutions, and the emergence of totally new ways to use XRP.
It's a risky bet for sure, but with any high-risk investment, the potential rewards could be huge.
Which brings us to a crucial point. This deep dive isn't about giving financial advice. It's about giving you the knowledge and tools to make your own informed choices.
We're not here to tell you to buy or sell XRP. We're just exploring the complexities of this cryptocurrency and encouraging you to think for yourself.
And hopefully sparking some lively discussions along the way.
I think we've done that for sure. So let's zoom out a bit and talk about what this whole XRP situation tells us about the future of cryptocurrency in the global financial system.
That's a great question and one that deserves its own deep dive. But I think the XRP case highlights the tension between innovation and regulation in the world of finance.
Ooh, that sounds juicy. Tell me more.
On one hand, you have these groundbreaking technologies like blockchain and cryptocurrencies that have the potential to democratize finance and empower individuals. Transactions could be more efficient, more transparent. It's exciting stuff.
It's like the Wild West of finance, right?
Exactly, full of possibilities and unknowns. But on the other hand, you have regulators like the SEC whose job it is to protect investors and keep the financial system stable.
And sometimes those two goals, innovation and regulation, clash.
They do. Regulators often find themselves playing catch-up, trying to apply old rules to a rapidly changing technological landscape.
And that can create uncertainty and stifle innovation. We're seeing that with Ripple and XRP, which operates in a bit of a legal gray area.
Exactly. That's why the outcome of this appeal against Ripple could be a major turning point, not just for XRP, but for the whole cryptocurrency world.
It could set a precedent for future regulations in the crypto space.
Right. A win for Ripple might encourage other crypto companies to innovate more freely.
But a loss could have the opposite effect, making investors and companies more hesitant.
The stakes are high, and everyone's watching to see how this plays out.
It's like we have front row seats to the future of finance.
Yeah.
We're seeing technology, regulation, and innovation collide real time.
And this XRP saga is just one chapter in that story.
A chapter that's still being written. It's definitely a fascinating story to follow. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of XRP, what's the one thing you hope our listener really takes away from this conversation?
If I had to pick one key takeaway, it would be the importance of critical thinking. In this age of information overload.
When it comes to investing, right?
Absolutely. We're just bombarded with headlines and predictions and promises of easy money all the time. But now more than ever, we need to develop the ability to really filter through all that noise and evaluate different perspectives and make decisions based on, solid research and a healthy dose of skepticism.
So don't just blindly follow the hype.
Right.
No matter how tempting it might seem, whether it's XRP or any other hot investment, do your own research.
Exactly. Take the time to understand the technology involved, the market forces at play, and most importantly, your own financial goals and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, your money, and you're the one who has to live with the consequences of your decisions.
Well said. And that brings us to a final thought-provoking question for our listener.
Okay.
Imagine you had the power to create the perfect regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies.
Ooh.
What would it look like?
That's a great question. It's like we're asking our listener to step into the role of a financial policymaker for a moment.
Exactly. How would you strike that balance between encouraging innovation and protecting investors? What kind of rules and guidelines would you put in place to create a level playing field while also addressing the risks that come with this new asset class?
Yeah, it's a complicated issue with no easy but it's a conversation we need to have as cryptocurrencies become more mainstream.
It is. And it's a conversation that hopefully the dive has helped to inform and inspire.
I think it has. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the potential of XRP, the ins and outs of its legal battle with the SEC, and what it all means for the future of cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
We've looked at the data, analyzed and challenged some assumptions along the way. But most importantly, we've hopefully given you, our listener, the knowledge and critical thinking skills to navigate this complex and ever-changing world.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
Yeah,
The world of crypto is constantly evolving, so stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
absolutely.
Who knows, maybe you'll be the next XRP millionaire.
Or maybe you'll just become a smarter, more informed investor,
Right.
which is a pretty great outcome in itself.
I couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, happy investing.